What's up, guys? Magical Libra here today, and I've got an update for the Exodia deck profile. Now, I want to say, just, for those of you who are wondering, most of the deck is still the same, but I have put in a few new cards instead of extra draw power. It actually helps me survive more throughout the game because this type of Exodia deck is a stall type deck, not a one-turn win type deck. So just wanted to make sure people get that when they want to play this version of the deck. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so starting off with the main deck. We do play extra deck in this deck. Starting off, we have Exodia, the Forbidden One, along with his other limbs, because they're all limited, and this is our only win condition in the entire deck. Because if we don't win with this, then we either die or we deck ourselves out. So yeah, we don't want to do that. So that is our win condition, and they're all limited, so of course we only play the one. All right, so let's just go ahead and leave them right here along with all these other cards. All right, so straighten it out and all that. So for our next monsters, we play Swift Iron Scarecrow. This is our only hand trap and our only other monsters inside of this deck, guys, because this will help in the battle phase and try to go for your next turn to draw a card to get something you can do. Or perhaps play a card that's already in your hand that you couldn't play before, such as, I don't know, Pot of Extravagance. All right, now for the spells, guys. Starting off with the draw power of the spells, we play 3 Draw of Fate, because when you play this card, you can, if your life points are lower than your opponent's, and your opponent controls the highest attack point monster on the field, you can use this card's effect. If you don't meet those 2 requirements, well, then yeah, you can't play this card. But anyway, if you meet those 2 requirements, then you can choose 3 cards from your deck. They all have to be different from each other. They can't be the same name and same card. You can't choose Draw of Fate, of course, but you can choose Pot of Extravagance, Exodia, Pot of Duality, 3 different cards from each other. They don't have to be different types, just different names. All right? Once you choose those 3 cards, you then put them on top of your deck after shuffling those 3 cards, put them on top of your deck, and then, I guess your opponent gets to shuffle those cards if they want to. It don't matter. It kind of does if you have 3 different cards, except for the Exodia pieces. Exodia pieces, then it doesn't matter. But you shuffle them, put them on top of your deck, you draw 1 random card, and then once you draw it, you can only activate 1 other card effect for that turn, and you can no longer set any cards. So if you plan on playing Draw of Fate, set all your back row cards that you want, besides the 1 space that you need to play Draw of Fate, then go for your play. Next, Pot of Extravagance. This card needs no introduction. You banish 3 or 6, then draw 1 or 2. Pretty simple from your extra deck. That's what we play the extra deck for, guys. I'll show you my extra deck, but it's all... You don't get out any cards in the extra deck. I mean, you could play level 1 Link monsters, or Link 1 Link monsters for level 1s and stuff like that, but it's not really that great. You just banish your entire extra deck so you can draw a total of 5 cards. But that's about it. Now to kind of go off of Pot of Extravagance, once you play Extravagance, you can play Pot of Duality. What Pot of Duality does is you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1. You don't draw it, you add 1. So that is kind of how Pot of Duality gets past Pot of Extravagance draw stun effect for yourself. So next for our 1-ofs, Upstart Goblin, 1 day of peace to help you survive. Now, Upstart Goblin actually is really great because you give your opponent plus 1,000 life points, and I'll explain why that's good in a second. I already have in the previous video for this deck, but because this is updated, I'm going to explain each card as it go. 1 day of peace, really, I love this card. God, I wish it was at 3. Oh, everybody would be playing this card at 3. Just to survive, just so 1 turn kills aren't a thing, because you play 1 day apiece, you both draw a card. Neither player takes damage until the end of the opponent's turn. So, Dark World Dealings. Each player draws a card, then discards a card. This card is currently at 3, but I've only got 1 in the deck so far, and I actually only own 1. So I could possibly take out some cards, or maybe even add 2 more Dark World Dealing and make it a 42 card deck, but right now this is just sitting at a 40 card deck. Alright, so that is all the draw power for the spells, guys. Just wanted to put it like that. Next, for our field spells. Yes, we are a Mystic Mind player. I absolutely hate going against this card, but I respect it because this thing is so hard to get over. If you're not playing spell and trap removal, you're not getting rid of this. And if you play what I do to field barrier over it, not getting over it that very easy at all. So for those of you, yes, I'm doing it. For those of you who don't know what Mystic Mine is, no, I don't take pride in answering what this card does, but I will do it anyway. What this card does is, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, your opponent cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. Well, we take full advantage of that card effect because we don't put any monsters on our field at all, so it's always a plus side for us. The other part of the effect says, if you control more monsters than your opponent does, which we won't, you cannot activate monster effects or declare an attack. So this card is always a card that I play it. My opponent cannot chain to it at all because you can't activate a monster effect. They can chain it with a spell card or a trap card, but they can't chain it with a monster effect, and they can't attack at all. So this card's like really broken. Also, let me get to the other part of the effect. Once per turn during the end phase, so you have the whole turn to try to get over this last part of the effect. Once per turn during the end phase, if both players control the same number of monsters, destroy this card. Well, you have 2 ways out of this. 1, get rid of your monster somehow. 2, play Field Barrier. Field Barrier will protect it from its own destruction effect, even if you have no monsters on your field. Yeah, it's really broken. Playing 3 Field Barrier is a bit too much because people will get rid of your Mystic Mind. Now you have an extra Field Barrier. What do I do with that? Discard it? No, I'd rather play something I can play. All right, so that's why we play 2 Field Barrier. For the last of our spells is Terraforming, so we can add the Mystic Mind because, I mean, why not? And I just want to point out this thing is Secret Rare, which I did not know Terraforming came in Secret Rare. I just happened to find that, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll take that. Now on, for our traps. We play 3 Reckless Greed because the way this card works is it skips your next 2 draw phases, so you can draw 2 cards right now. But it stacks on the draw, but it does not stack on skipping the next 2 draw phases, because if you skip your next 2 draw phases, then chain a Reckless Greed to draw 2 more and skip your next 2 draw phases. Well, it doesn't skip the next 4. It still skips the next 2. So even though you skipped your next 2 with your first Reckless Greed, and you activate another Reckless Greed to chain it, you're still skipping your next 2 draw phases, which is not the next 2 after the first 2 you skipped. It's still the next 2. So you can draw 6 cards and skip your next 2 draw phases if you have 3 of these on the field. So it's really great. But if you activate it, absolutely make sure you can still do stuff with your hand before you activate that card. Otherwise, you're left 2 turns with nothing. This is a really great engine for the deck, and I absolutely love it, and will probably never ever change it unless a better draw card comes out. And that is Gift Card, because we love to be nice to our opponent, right? We don't want to inflict them any damage. No, we want to gift card them. Give them 3,000 life points to help them survive, right? Right. But you activate gift card, activate 3 of them. You give your opponent 3, 6, 9,000 life points. That's not inflicting them damage. They gain 3,000 life points for each one of these. It's a gift. It's to be nice. It's so you can activate your hope for escape. Because when you activate this card, you have to, I believe, let me just read it. Activate only if your opponent's life points are at least 1,000 higher than yours. Oh, yes, the requirement to activate this card is you have to pay 1,000 life points, draw one card for every 2,000 point difference between your life points and your opponent's. So you can only activate it if your opponent's life points are at least 1,000 higher. Then you activate it by paying 1,000. Now there's 2,000 points. You immediately get to draw a card. But with gift card, well, now that's a total of 5,000, 8,000, 9, 10, 11,000. Plus your upstart, that's 12,000. Yeah. It's a lot of draw, especially when you play 3 Solemn Judgment to half your life points, even more. Yeah, it's that. These cards are literally just to kind of help us survive a little bit. We don't want to activate all 3. We want to activate at least 2. So we half our life points to 4,000, then to 2,000. And that's all you want to do. But you don't ever want to activate the 3rd. It's just there so we can get to it faster. To be honest, in all opinion, you could probably take out the 3rd and put in another card. I don't know, Dark World Dealings. That might be suitable for you. But yeah. Next is our limited cards. Metaverse, to activate our field spell. Just to get that Mystic Mine on the field. And yeah, sorry, good luck, have fun. And our last and 40th card is Skill Drain. Just to, even though your opponent has monsters, why not screw around and play Skill Drain and just negate all their effects? So, you know, like, even though we have Skill Drain, even though we have Mystic Mine on our field, if they somehow MST it, play Skill Drain, well, yeah, you can still attack me, but now all your monster effects are negated. If you had anything that plus their attack, well, now it's back to its original. If you had anything that was going to do something really nasty to me, oh, well, now it's negated. Now you can't. So you can still attack me with base attack, so good luck attacking me with those vanillas, but, you know, you can't do any of your monster effects. So that is it for the main deck, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to the extra deck, all right? And the extra deck doesn't really matter. Like, you could play some Link monsters that require 1 level 1 monster, you know, or 1 level 3 monster, I guess. I don't know. Like your opponent could somehow discard your hand, you know, and you know, get an Exodia piece into the graveyard. Now, with this deck, if you lose your Exodia, you lose the duel. You might as well just try to stall for time until, you know, if you're playing at a tournament, until they call time. Otherwise, you're going to lose. So, yeah. All right. You could play Mystic Mine, fill barrier, and just stall. Just don't play any cards. Just draw this card. You could probably win that way if your opponent keeps searching out cards. All right, but for the extra deck, guys, we play 3 white or whatever. It's a fish, man. It's a fish. It's also a card to banish. That's why it's there. We play Dino Wrestler, Giga Spinosalvate. I think that's Spanish, right? Disclaimer has no results. All right. Sea Dragon, Lord of Water Dragon, okay. Defender of the Labyrinth and Linkerbell. What about Tinkerbell? No, it's Linkerbell. Come link you away. All right. Vector, Scare Archfiend. Whatever that is. Another one, but less rare. And we have 3 Marincess, Sea Angel. Yeah, Sea Angel. And that is it for the extra deck, guys, because that's all 15 cards. You can't pull out any of them in this extra deck. They're there to be banished. That's all they're there for. And that is the Exodia deck profile, guys. So thanks for watching, and peace out.